love all night, 'cause we don't care. Live as long as we make love, as long as we under that Creole moon above. Rock you in the cradle of my own. Don't be surprised what'll happen later on. Creole moon, shine on me and my honey. Light up the delta.
Hello, everyone in this room full of people that I know well. I'm Malachi Hoskins. Thank you for joining us for the digital release party for Outside Tomorrow. All of these are commissions that I did during quarantine. I always wanted to do the typewriter on the street thing because it's challenging artistically, and I don't know, you get to connect with some people. Like, from what I hear, you mostly write poems about cats, but when you're not writing poems about cats, you're also like connecting with people about like things you wouldn't normally, and they're strangers, which always is interesting to me. When you can like get into a stranger's soul for some reason. This is how you know in Scorpio. And so I put it out there. My friend Janelle like is the first person who hit me up, and I met Janelle on a train ride to New Orleans from New York, and she was just feeling some type of way about not being able to leave her house. This is like March 20th. Like, we were in quarantine for like 2 weeks. And this is what I wrote for her. And writing this kind of let me know how I was going to get through all of this. And not just all of this, but like laid the groundwork for how I wanted to proceed with the rest of my life. And this is my own body. No body to touch but my own. My body. With its jackrabbit heart, twisting in my stillness, in a state of unmoving crisis. I only need the simplest of things, a place to be and move and work, a place to feel, a place to heal. But what is the cost of being? The lords of industry, the principalities of our world take everything from me, my money and time and labor, my broken back, my rolling sweat, my life's blood, or maybe one of my necessities. I can hear the world calling to me. I can feel the suffering through continents, across oceans. I can feel their hearts beat. They all say the same thing. Enough. Break these heavy chains. Unlock this tight cage. Let me be free and touch more than my own body. Thank you. That's for Janelle. I think what's sort of unsettling about everything, other than everything, is how well a lot of my friends and myself kind of weathered it. And I think like there's an entire generation of therapists just shaking their head because there's an entire generation of people who've been preparing for the greatest crisis to ever happen illogically. Like, they have no basis of reason to believe the entire thing's going to fall apart. And then it did. It's all validated, and they're all doing fine. And this is about those people. This is called Crisis Creatures. Back against the mountain. Bloodthirsty enemies manning battlements rolling across the hills of the horizon. Impossible obstacles. But some people have nothing but clear, still waters inside them. Some people take in crisis like sacrament. Some people are only steady when the war is on. When the water has worn down the mountain, when all battlements are abandoned, these are the ones that fly away with the wind. No route to ground them, no destination, only uncertain possibility smothered by indecisive breeze. They entered the world in crisis, unsure and abandoned. They learn how to hustle the monarchies and how to find family wherever people who care to let things grow call home. When the sky forebodes terror, they settle into themselves. They find home in calamity. They will be the still point for the bereft. It's their tithe to the worlds that tolerate waywardness, their weapon against the treacherous. Chaos is their northern star. These people are called crazy for not adjusting to toxicity. These people are called crazy for holding on to nothing but their certainty that the world is unreasonable and unkind. These people are called crazy when the storm makes short work of the vestry of normalcy and they stand tall and unmoving, hearts full of steady, minds filled with hush, ready always for the world to be under its own weight, crushed. Thank you. A lot of the people who asked for things that had to do with being outside. I spent way more time in my backyard over the last 3 or 4 months than I barely recognized that I had a backyard until March. But somebody specifically was really missing the swamp. It's kind of where they grew up, and there's this folklore about something called the feu follet. The feu follet is lights that show up in swamp gas and mist, and it traditionally leads travelers off path, right? People think that they're, somebody in need of help or whatever, and they generally have this. The lore is that they're like mischievous fae that just live in the swamp to fuck with travelers, and this is kind of about that, and a little bit about how it got here. This is feu follet for someone who missed the swamp by someone who came to love it. I thought I followed the moon across blue and green sky, behind the Spanish moss hanging in the black. I thought I followed the sounds, the chirps and whistles and cracks of the swamp singing completely out of sight. Cold blood rubbing against the warm, humid night. I thought I followed the smell, moss and mold and weeds. But it smells like when the ground is almost human, alive and rotting. The trees sweating through their skin. Warm breeze brings more humidity. It fills the lungs, stifles the breath, uncomfortable and frustrated. My blood rushes. My skin drinks deep passion in the wet heat. I brace against the sensation of sweet Doucin, boiling to drive me further towards the wet. A flash of light across the swamp, 2 and 3 dancing, up and through and away, the spirit children of the forgotten marshes all along the Mississippi. It was the crazy fire that led me here, the will of this place, the fleeting lights and the wisp of the fog. They are born in chaos, they die in beauty, they lead the willing far, far away. I followed those fleeting lights, gave myself to the freedom of the feu follet. Thank you. So, if you haven't already, the cover of the book was illustrated by @TooManyGhosts, Maggie Bard. And the idea of this whole thing is kind of the brainchild of Dre at Once Around the Kitchen. And our cinematographer is Kat Kimball, at Kat Kimball Photo, on Instagram. Don't I look pretty? See? It's her doing. She did that. I think the thing that bothers me the most about where people stand when they're arguing about what is going on in the world is I try and come from the assumption that we all have to be here. We all have to live together. We're all a village. We're all kind of going through something similar. We're we're in different boats, but we're in the same storm. And it's really disheartening and disillusioning every time you talk to somebody about like the goings on in the world. You realize that you kind of have to convince somebody why they should care about other people. And this is what that's about. It's called We Are a Village for a World Without Empathy. We are a village pretending to be a state. We are fellow travelers held in place by commerce. We are barterers impoverished by capital. We have built a betrayal of the carnal. We confuse duality with duplicity and punish the complexity of our own condition. No trust for the simplicity of our needs. Only the greed of mass production with not a thought cast towards quality. We are wilderness overdeveloped. We are kindness commodified. We are a village with tall fences. We're afraid, what if those fences fall down? We will be face to face with the villainy of other people. Every time civilization is threatened, we are caught in our lie. When we fill other baskets with our bread, we are confounded. When we are caught being kind, we are a village that only remembers it in darkness, but we are always a village. Thank you. I have a lot of nurse friends, and a few doctor friends, and a few attending friends, and this is a nightmare. This is a living nightmare for them especially, and this is for them. It's called grave soldiers for medical professionals during a pandemic. Soldiers of misfortune strap scraps to themselves like armor, a ward against the horseman pestilence. Healers forced on the fields of perdition, abandoned by the foolish. Sinister jesters with the rule of law in their fists. Wise men called witch doctors within a noise wave of dangerous rhetoric. Impossible decisions made, holding life and death by the tassels of their robes. They cast away from home to lay hands on the afflicted, leaving their whole hearts behind. This plague makes merry of our ignorance, and we stay ignorant still. Our sole protectors, nurses, doctors, orderlies, advocates, students of Hippocrates, wait for the fray to call them, stand tall in the face of wave after wave of the afflicted. More than heroes, they come home bruised and exhausted. They take precious few moments with their loves, moments of sleep, fewer still, with grit of endless war in their eyes, courage and the light of life in their arteries. They steady themselves to return to a blitz against the grave. The short version of this poem is, so I'm hanging out in my backyard and I'm feeling kind of sad. I'm in my feels, and a butterfly shows up. He's like, hey, why you sad? And I was like, I don't know, man, I get sad sometimes. And you get sad sometimes. You know what I did when I got sad once? I ate everything I could see. And then you know what I did? I disappeared. I just became goo. And then you know what I did? I broke out of a little cocoon thing I made, and I became a fucking butterfly. You can become a butterfly too, man. You can become a butterfly. When you're sad, just think, I became a butterfly. Why not you? That's the short version of this poem. It's called The Butterfly. I wrote it for my cousin. I met a butterfly in my garden. See? I was brooding over my malaise. A dark cloud shadowing my light, holding me in place with its loitering. The butterfly hovering on the foliage saw me, knew me, understood the thundering of sadness. It told me how it came to be, sharing a story about a caterpillar eating and crawling and consuming with no purpose it could see. One afternoon, the caterpillar stopped its grazing, still, on the stem of its last eaten leaf, refusing to move out of an urging towards stillness, an all-consuming need to disappear. And so the caterpillar settled hanging gently as its body was molting everything it was, dying in the branches of the mulberry tree. Its body trapping and devouring itself to nothing, a remnant, formless, silent. And there, amidst the caterpillar's own oblivion, it could sense the edges of the chrysalis, found form from nothingness. Steadily it seemed, and yet suddenly the caterpillar felt something, a quickening. The caterpillar forgot its meaninglessness, pushed against the walls of its prison of self, days of fighting and pushing and biting. The caterpillar could feel the sky beckoning. Soon the butterfly found itself outside in the mulberry tree, tasting what it was like to be free from the tree, from its own self, from its old needs. And so this is what the butterfly said to me. When you feel devoured by meaninglessness, burdened by your stillness, embrace these without judgment. It is your first step towards breaking your chrysalis and tasting sky above these clouds, toward knowing what it means to be under your own strength, through your own endeavor, free. See, it's basically the same thing. If you weren't already following the City Waste Union on Instagram, or the New Orleans Hospitality Workers Alliance.
And the other one that pops up when you look for that.
And the other one that pops up when you search that. Is follow them and support the Hoppers by following City Waste Union NOLA. And this is for them. It's called Where's America? There's a man driving 18 hours straight across 6 state lines praying for overtime. There's a woman peeing in bottles on an assembly line because otherwise she'll face disciplinary action, and maybe this time she loses her only lifeline. There's a boy bleeding out in front of his house because he didn't raise his hands fast enough to throw the brown off his skin. There's a cop who will do it again. There's a city filled with music holding on to its dignity with a pot of beans and an old trombone. The place I live has lawns that are more like farms. The place I come from is paved over and peppered with big box stores. It's run by moms who know coupons like pastors know psalms. I spent some good years on the edge of industry, mingling with the haves, drinking with the have-nots, drifting on a train that crosses a river into a skyline filled with possibility. I've slept in trucks, in buses, and trains, rolling through endless stretches of highway, hypnotized by yellow lines, jarred awake by rumble strips just before tollways. I have walked this place, seen the faces of America burning under fluorescent lights, half smiles at gas stations and truck stops in the middle of the night, crickets scolding the air for the humidity as I walk out of a pit stop with a 2-minute meal that cost me $5.50. I've torn out my hair when the bills came in, overdrawn because I'm broke, and so they charge me for being broke. The worst thing you can do is be born broke, but I grew up with the promise of a dream, and I knew the world wasn't fair, but the people in charge were put there by people who wanted to take care of me, so I thought they would take care of me. There is no working hard enough to save yourself from the catastrophic mistake of poverty. There is no freedom when every minute of every day is spent praying for one more night indoors. Where is the prosperity I thought was going to save us, you and me? Where is the greatness of the greatest country? Where are the opportunities in the land of opportunities? I've heard rumors of America and her fall from grace. I've heard rumors that her grace was always fake. I've heard rumors, but I want you to tell me to my face that this place is the land of the free. I want you to tell me with a straight face that the men and the women who refuse to pay for the work, that they would be nothing without are brave. I need you to tell me where America is, and if you can't, I need you to get out of the way. Sit down, and let the people who work here take your place. Thank you. So, I wasn't gonna do this, but if I don't do this, it'll make Dre sad. So this is a poem I wrote for a young boy who loves sandwiches, and it's called Sandwiches for Juniper. I love sandwiches. White bread and wheat. Sourdough is also neat. Pastrami or bologna, roast beef and turkey, and all the yummy meats. Tomatoes and pickles and lettuce too. No one cares about lettuce. Mustard on club, mayo on chicken, hot sauce on anything. If you want everything, fit it on a sub. If you are a pro at this, you'll top your sandwich with a fistful of chips, crunch it down, and when you bite, make it loud. Yum, yum, yum. I love sandwiches, and when I'm done, I love nap time with a full tum-tum. That is for Juniper. How old is Juniper?
He'll be 5, but not till March.
Juniper's gonna be 5,
Somewhere along that
and me and
line.
Juniper share a passion.
Same, man.
Uh-huh. I mean, this is just for somebody who is really tired of being inside. It's for someone who asks for something beautiful. It's called Glorious Dust. I know a family of goats. They live in the empty lot behind my house. They graze on the grass. They dine contently on the leaves that border my fence line. I tossed them my celery scraps once, the big one. His name is the Wizard. Lets the leaves crunch between his teeth. His silky white beard bounces as he chews. He looks at me. His soulful eyes meet my soulful eyes, and he nods. I lay down in the grass, settle into a soft patch, and have a silent chat with the crows in the mulberry tree. They know me from their early morning meetings and my breaking dawn teeterings. I listen to their rustling and wonder about the spirits they are carrying as day turns to evening. The soft breeze moves over me. The grass is tickling my ears. I feel the sun setting on my eyelids. I think about how, to the rest of the world, this is all hidden, a secret and obvious harmony that we only notice in the kind of moments of stillness found in the eye of tragedy. We are a family of goats grazing peacefully. We are busy crows shepherding wayward souls. We are blades of grass tickling nerve endings. We are the setting sun and closed eyes, and hearts finally being well won by the sun's final stretch over a whispering dusk. We are now and have always been glorious dust. I have a couple more for you. This was a gift for somebody who's just been through a lot. They were going through a lot before COVID. They were going through a lot through COVID. It's for someone who makes hard decisions in tumultuous times. It's called captivity. There is no prison for the spirit but the mind. There is no captivity dreamed that can trap the self that refuses capture. There are oceans behind the eyes of every person alive. And some people choose to show you the cool streams that flow into them, or let the winds of resistance conjure a hurricane that will ravage ill intent, and let the tides sweep their villainy away. Some people are oak trees. Some people are forests of oak trees, reaching past where the naked eye can see, roots that bind the earth to them, shade that goes on for miles, bodies built for the storm. Some people dance with the devil and play chess with the reaper and lead every step and win every wager. Some people find kindness in a world of cruelty like a sapling growing through granite. Their roots are like veins, intricate and intentional, blood like sap, sweet nectar of maple, but will harden if misunderstood for something common. Some people find their truth and spend their lives full-throated without apology, singing it to the world that's listening, telling their stories to oceans and oak trees and honeybees and people like me who ache to be free, to see these people with their stories, to again begin to believe in the riotous spirit that eternally evades captivity. Thank you. So this is it. I want to say thank everyone for coming here today. This means a lot to me. Thank all of you for watching. I probably should be engaging with you more, but it's weird because you're not here, you're a camera. I'm sorry if that offends you, but you are. I'm at Malachi Hoskins on most things. And by the time this comes out, you'll be able to buy the book on a website that I'm going to link to this video because the website isn't built yet. This is Outside Tomorrow. Is a promise to me, and it's a promise to all of you, that there's going to be a tomorrow where we are outside, where the world that we're building is ready for us. Outside tomorrow for us. There's a world waiting for me, a world waiting for everyone, past the locked doors, into tight embrace and a kiss for every bit of our love. There's a future we are obliged to capture with our entire ambition. A future made of promise and possibility. A future marked by the rattled, devastated past and the ruins of the temples that defined it. Crumbled monuments of oppression overgrown by cat's claw crawlers. We'll have to tend that as well. It will strangle our harvest, just like the columns it crawls over. There is a tomorrow outside in the streets, and we must be ready. Thank you. It's less impressive when I can't just walk off stage and grab a whiskey. Like when I can't just, yeah, I can't just disappear in the crowd. Turn the lights down.